Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane. I'm joined today with Case from Everyday Masters. How are you doing today, buddy?
Awesome, man. How you doing?
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I wanted to get a hold of you and have you on before your big trip here to the States. Uh,
Cool.
yeah, it'd be awesome and stuff. So, how long has it been since you've been up here?
Man, I think it's been a while. I think it's been 2 years.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's been a while.
So, you got a lot of
Looking
family
forward
to,
to it.
to visit and stuff?
Yeah, I got family in Ohio, and I got a bunch of friends in New York, and I got some issues with my kids' electronics that cannot be fixed down here. And so I'm just going to go up to New York, and so I decided to, open up, just, stay a few extra days and have some sessions. And so, yeah, I got some sessions lined up, and seeing some friends and family, and really looking forward to it. And plus, it's just so hot here, and it's just, I see snow up there and cold weather. So it'd be a nice change of pace.
I guess paradise has its limitations, huh? You got the weather, and then you got the nobody to work on the electronics, huh?
There's some more. The dial-up internet is always frustrating, but yeah, no, it's there's always ups and downs no matter where you're at.
Well, you're coming through loud and clear here, so no problems
Cool,
there. That's
cool.
awesome. So,
Maybe when I'm in the States, we can do a video a chat. No,
yeah, that would be
it'll be
awesome.
actually, yeah, that'd be cool. I'll do that.
Yeah, enjoy some high speed internet, huh?
Yeah,
Some
I'm gonna
really high
soak it up.
speed.
I'm gonna waller in it, man. I feel like doing a video every day just so I can actually upload something. Yeah,
Yeah, you
looking
should,
forward
man.
to
So, how long are you going to
it.
be here?
16 days. Yeah,
Let's
and
see. You are
and
a lot louder than Case. Okay, let me turn my volume down a little bit. There we go. Now everybody can turn it up without me blasting their ears out when. Okay, there we go.
uh, okay,
Yeah, it's nice to have Josee there to in the chat to give me the heads up. At least I had your volume turned up. Sometimes that.
nice.
So okay, so you'll have some openings left over in the cities that you're visiting for reconnective energy and healing and things like that.
Yeah, well, it's basically I'm doing the personal reconnections. It seems like it's 95% people are interested in the reconnections, the personal reconnections versus the healing. Because I can do the healing from anywhere, but the personal reconnections, they have to be done in person. So it seems like everybody seems to be signing up for that, and it's a
Uh,
2-day thing. So it's yeah, yeah.
so the
I'm
information's on
looking
the
forward to it.
website, right?
Correct. www.everydaymasters.life, and it's got the dates, and then I got a bunch of videos, that kind of describe the process. Well, not really the process, but kind of what it entails, and because like a reconnective healing session that really just kind of attunes you to these frequencies and brings you back into balance. And 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 once you become back into balance, it seems like the illnesses that you have that that are not really in alignment with who you are, they just dissolve because you're just vibrating at a higher frequency, and they just can't stay. They just have to dissolve. So, but the
Yeah.
reconnection, that's different. That is, um, I've made a couple videos on it, but that's when you're literally reconnecting someone's energy field with the larger field of the planet and the universe. And at least that's the way it was described to me when I first had it done to me.
Hmm.
I really didn't know. It just felt right, and I was like, man, I think I need to do this. And I remember I was asking a lady, so what is this? And she was just talking about, you have your own energy field, like the meridian lines of your body that have been used for thousands of years.
Hmm.
And the Earth has its own energy field. The the ley lines that wrap around the planet.
Right.
And she was like, at one time, our energy field used to be connected with the larger field. And there was a disconnection that took place. And, anybody's done any research, you hear, the fall from grace, and maybe, a Christian interpretation would be, when Eve ate the apple. And, there's just all this common theme of becoming disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And so, she was just casually saying, and she was like, so we're going to lay in a fifth dimensional acetonial system over you to reconnect you with the field. And I was just kind of like, I knew these frequencies are real because I could just feel them coursing, through my body, and I could see how they were affecting, my friends and my clients. So I knew that was real.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds kind of, I was like, okay, well, let's just do this. And it was, like I said, I've made a couple of videos on it. It just was absolutely life-changing. And so now I don't really talk about it that way anymore, because I know that what's really happening, that is what's happening, is you're when it says you're reconnecting to the large field, we're always connected. We're always connected to this field. You know what I mean? Like, we're in this field of consciousness. So how could you become disconnected from this field? And, we're always, at some level, connected to our higher self.
Mm-hmm.
How could you become disconnected from your higher self? And from over the last 6 years and just doing this so many times, what I realize is it's what you're really doing is you're laying in a new communication line, I guess you could say, with your higher self. So your higher self is always like screaming out guidance to you. You know what I mean? It's always like there, but we've lost this ability to feel that and to interpret that and to trust that. And for some reason, when you go through this personal reconnection, it's almost like the higher self goes from like a whisper in your ear to just a bullhorn, and you just know what is right for you, and you just start trusting yourself, and you can feel it's almost like, you're walking around and we're just drunk on these five senses, and we're unaware of all these other senses. Because we're multi-sensory beings, and so we've lost this connection with these other senses that we can access. But as soon as this reconnection takes place, all these other senses just become heightened, and you just start knowing. And it's just a completely different way to live your life.
So we're always connected, but it's like the connection's bad, or there's static on the line, and it's sort of like clean up the connection.
It's like, since I'm down in Yucatan, I guess the perfect explanation, it's like going from a dial-up connection to like a DSL broadband connection. Like it's just, you can just feel it. You know what I mean? You just know what is right for you. And so yeah, that seems to be what people are most interested in. And, people ask me, should I sign up for a healing session, or should I sign up for the personal reconnection? And to me, that's just a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's an absolute no-brainer, because it's just a lot, and it unfolds in everybody differently. It's almost like whatever you are ready for, that's how fast it'll happen. So, if you go into it kind of scared and kind of, unsure, then you'll just ease into this new understanding. But if you're ready and you're just like biting at the bit, man, you better buckle up, because life is going to change really fast. And especially in the beginning, because in the beginning, you have some really fifth dimensional kind of experiences, like really, how the Mande1a Effect is for people?
Right.
How they're like, what is going on? Well, you have a lot of those experiences. And I will say that, I don't have those as much anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have those those life-changing experiences like, I I don't even know what example to use, but it's almost like you have those experiences until you're at the level of knowing that this is real, and that you have this larger non-physical aspect of you always with you. And then once you kind of know that, then you don't really need the daily, like,
Wake up calls
mind
almost,
blowing.
right?
Yeah, so it's just, you just kind of ease into the flow of this new understanding and this new way to live. And because the way I live my life, people would think, wow, that guy's, that's ballsy, man. That takes a lot of nerve. No, it really doesn't.
Hmm.
Because when you know, then do you really need, a bunch of nerve? I mean, it's like, I mean, if you know something's going to work out, then I don't know. It seems less risky. It doesn't seem risky at all, actually.
Oh, I totally get it,
So
man. I totally get it.
it's weird because the QHHT. Have you ever done that?
No, I haven't, huh?
Yeah, that's interesting because so that kind of process, that's to connect with your higher self, and so your higher self basically just comes through you speaking. And so I remember when I had a couple friends of mine, and they both told me within 2 days, like, oh my gosh, man, I just had this QHHT done. That is just unbelievable. You have to have that done. And so I was like, well, what is it? And one of them, talked about a couple past lives that they were experiencing, and they were literally there. I mean, they could see their feet. They could feel the dirt. They could see they had a different body, and they were just kind of observing that life going through the motions of the time that they were experiencing. And then my other friend, he just went straight to the higher self. And so they're like, you got to do this. So I was like, man, I can't wait. So I set up an appointment, like, dude, sign me up. So I set up an appointment with this lady, the same lady that facilitated their QHHT. And so I was just really excited. And on the way there, man, I had, like, the numbers that I was seeing, it was just like ridiculous. It was like, I went on like Google Maps, and it was like, how long is it? And it's like, oh, it's 33 miles away, and you'll be there at like, it was just all my numbers. Like, literally, if there was like 5 numbers of time, and, everything was my numbers. And I was like, oh man, if that isn't a sign,
In the chat right now, somebody
awesome.
said, I'm a 333 person. It's so funny because that popped up before you even said that. And I know that.
Yeah. It's funny because that's what I charge for. That's what everybody charges for this reconnection is 333. And it's funny because they say, like, well, how much do you charge for this? And I'm like, well, it's $333. I'm like, $333? And I'm like, man, I wish I should charge, I wish I could charge, $10,000 for this, because that's what I would have paid. But you can't charge, you can only charge 333. It'll always, like, 20 years ago, it was $333, and 30 years in the future, if we still need it, it will be $333. It's just, that is the frequency of the energy exchange.
Wow.
that fits this system. So anyway, so I'm driving up, and I'm just super excited, and so I get there, and I'm not sure if all practitioners are the same, but you're supposed to talk for, like, I don't know, hour and a half, a couple hours, for them to kind of get to know you, and if you have any questions lined up, and so we talked for like 3 hours, and she was so excited. She goes, "Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good." And I'm like, "Oh man, I'm so excited. I can't wait." And then so we started it, and it didn't work. Like, I just couldn't. Like, it just didn't work, man. Like, I was getting frustrated, and she tried a couple different methods, and I don't know, man. It just did not work. And I had like 1 second where I remember I was like about 20 feet off the ground, and I was behind this what seemed like a big plate glass window, almost like an air traffic controller, you know.
Right.
And I remember I was there, and like this only lasted like second half. This memory or this experience. I don't know if it was a memory. I don't know what it was. But I was looking out the window, and there was like an alien ship to the left of me, and I know that I was telepathically connected with that ship, and I just kind of gave a little nod. I don't even know if it was a physical nod, but in my mind it was like, "You're good," and it just took off. And I was like, "What was that? Like, am I like on some other planet? I'm like a you know, like some airplane controller, you know, like what kind of, but that was it. And I was just like bummed out, man. But I actually, in retrospect, I actually learned more about myself on the way home from that session than I actually learned during that section. I mean, it just for some reason, it just didn't work for me. But like I said, I had some really cool learning experiences on the way home, and I was just and one of the what I would consider a learning experience is so I'm coming home and I'm just kind of dumbfounded. I just don't understand how I couldn't connect with my higher self. Like I just couldn't get it. I just didn't understand it.
Right.
And so I'm in this state of confusion. And so I'm driving home, and I'm thirsty, so I stop off at the store, and I used to always like to get those Arizona teas, those green teas, and so I stop, and it was $1.03. It's always $1.03, and in my pocket I had $1.02, and so I look down in that little change jar. There's some pennies, so I pick up a penny and I give her 103. Or she says it's $1.03. So I pick up that penny and I give her $1.03, and she starts looking at my hand, and in total confusion, like she has no idea what she's doing, and so she starts leaning in to get a penny from the change jar, and I'm like, no, it's 103. There it is, right there, and so she picks it up and then drops it, and then she's looking at it really funny, and then she puts it in the cash register. And then she comes back and she gives me a penny. And I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? This lady is a cashier. It's 103. I just gave her 103. Like, what is going on here? This is insane. And so she gives me an extra. I go, no, it's 103. And then she takes it and she puts that in there. And I remember I walking out of the store. I'm like, dude, what's going on? Like that's the craziest. And then all of a sudden I thought, wait a second. I am in a complete state of confusion myself. And my field around me is so strong that I overrided her field, and she didn't even know how to she forgot how to do math as a cashier. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
And it just made me think of how strong our fields are, and how it was just a really interesting experience for me on how strong our fields are and how they can override the fields of people around us, and how we're literally affecting everybody that we meet on an unconscious level. And then I actually talked to a buddy of mine a couple of days later, and he's like, "Hey man, how'd it go?" And I go, "Dude, not good." I go, "It didn't work for me." And he goes, "Of course it didn't work for you." And I was like, "Well, what is that supposed to mean?" He goes, "Because you are your higher self. You're like, that's, of course you're not going." And I was like, and of course my ego was like, "Oh, that's cool," but I just left it at that. But it didn't work for me, but I know it's worked for a lot of people. And so yeah, I don't know if I'll ever do it again, but
so you still learned something, but it wasn't the way you learned. Huh?
Yeah, and I think it was a very powerful lesson, because and actually I find that here down in Mexico, I can it's the same kind of lesson, because my Spanish is just pathetic, and so I will ask my wife, like, what do I say here in this situation? Because my wife is fluent in Spanish. And so she'll tell me. And then I will go to that person and I will say, and I will pronounce these words exactly the way they should be pronounced. At least, like if you understand Spanish, you will understand what I'm saying. And so I will go to these people and I will say something and they will look at me like I am speaking like whatever language, not Spanish. And my kids and my wife will be standing there watching and listening to what I'm saying. And I go, did I say that right? And they go, oh, yeah, yeah. And the thing is like, see, those words don't have any meaning to me. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I don't own those words. Like I own English. But when I speak in Spanish, I don't own that. And so I'm putting out this you know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it's you know what I mean? So um yeah, so
They're just
I
nothing
need to
words to
start.
you, and
They're just nothing and so they just don't understand what I'm saying. Even if I pronounce them, almost perfectly. I don't really roll my R's, but besides not rolling my R's, I'm pronouncing them well enough to be understood. But yeah, so it's but yeah, that was the QHHT was a pretty interesting experience.
so your kids speak Spanish then?
Yeah, my oldest daughter is fluent. My middle child, she's I would say she's pretty good, probably like 75, 80%. And then my son, he understands Spanish, but he doesn't speak it yet. But I mean, if if you speak to him in Spanish, he'll understand what you're saying. So, but he's 6. I mean,
Yeah.
he's
That's awesome though, man. Well, you can always just go somewhere with your daughter or wife or something and get away with not having to learn
yeah.
it, right?
I think that's worked out not too well for me because I used my kids as a crutch. So it's instead of me grinding it out and making it happen, it's so easy for me to just look at my daughter and say, "What's he saying?
Right.
What's you know what I mean?" Instead of me just like being forced to work it out.
Yeah,
So
I completely understand. And then, is it where you live now, or is it where you took the vacation that they primarily speak Indian? That was the vacation, wasn't it?
well, Santiago and Lake Atitlan in Guatemala, yeah, that's Spanish is a second language there. They speak a Mayan dialect.
That's
And
wild.
then here in the Yucatan, there's a lot of Mayan in their vocabulary. I remember when we first moved down here, my wife, she speaks Spanish, and there's and instead of saying like what do you mean? They don't really say K, they say Mande,
Oh.
and I kept hearing her say Mande a lot, and I'm like, I thought you spoke Spanish. You know what I mean? And she's like, they're not speaking Spanish. They're speaking, a Mayan dialect. So it's, yeah, they don't even, where I'm at, they don't even really consider themselves Mexicans. They call themselves, I believe, Yucatecans.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this place is the most peaceful. They do those studies where they rate the happiest countries, and um, what I'm talking about. And it's always like Denmark, or it's the happiest countries always like
Just
somewhere
the
else.
population is yeah, just the happiest population anywhere.
Yeah, and so they have that, and then they do one for the most peaceful place to live.
Oh.
And if in the Yucatan, if the Yucatan was a country, it would be rated the second most peaceful place in the world to live. So it's just a magical little place.
Oh, that's so
Just
awesome, man.
absolutely love it here. Yeah.
So when you come here to the states, you're gonna go to New York and Ohio. Uh, where else are you gonna? What other cities are you gonna
New
visit?
York, Ohio, and then Texas. So I had a few people that had been requesting me to come up to Texas to facilitate the reconnections, and so I just threw that on the books before I came back down. So I'm only in Houston for 3 days, but so yeah, I got a couple spots left in. in each of those spots.
Awesome.
And if anybody's interested, I really suggest just going to my website and just watching some videos, because I tried to make a bunch of videos because I always get asked the same questions. You know, like what's the difference between a reconnection and what's the healing, and what actually is going on here, and you know how is this reconnection, you know, like what's really happening. And so I made a bunch of videos, and it does a pretty good job of describing you know, the difference and what's actually happening with this reconnection. Yeah, it's funny. People, it's funny. I mean, my whole thing is really like everybody can do this. You know what I mean? Like that's really what all my videos are about, is this awakening, and you know, we're all waking up to these abilities that we have, you know, and that we were told. I mean, because for me, like if you would have told me 10 years ago that I was this healer, I wouldn't have understood what you were talking about.
Right.
I just, what are you talking about? I'm a healer. You know what I mean? And then, you know, when this happened to me and I went through this reconnection and had this, you know, this, I don't want to say like the Akashic fields, you know, opened up to me and I was able to remember, you know, all these past lives or anything, but I know that I'm a healer. And I know that I've always been a healer. And now that I look back, I know that I've always, in a sense, had this carried this frequency, and it's like I always like, my job is just to bring people back into balance. And you know, even when I was a golf professional, I look back and, you know, my whole goal, I just wanted to be on the PGA Tour. That's all I wanted to do. But in reality, it was like all my roommates, all the people I hung out with, made it to the PGA Tour. It was almost like I was a good luck charm. You know what I mean? Like, like whoever was around me started just flourishing. And so I didn't really understand that. You know, I just didn't understand how. I certainly didn't feel like I had any part in their success. But now, kind of looking back, it's like, you know, that's just what I do. I bring out the best in people, and I allow them to be all they can be, really.
It's amazing
And
how,
now
in retrospect, it's like things are so clear. Looking back, you're like, why didn't I notice it at the time? This is so clear now, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the beautiful thing about life. Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
is yeah, and I like to maintain that too, because I like to always keep myself in check and think, you know, I don't know anything. You know what I mean? Like I just don't like to commit. I mean, you know, I know certain things. You know, I know that we're made of energy, and I know that we're all connected.
Right.
I might have a couple dogs barking here. We had
Oh,
some
no
people
problem.
working on the AC. I mean, I know a few things. You know, I know we're all connected because I give sessions with people all around the world, you know, every week, and I hear their experiences, and so I know we're connected on that level, that quantum level. You know, and I know I love my kids, but you know, when people ask me, it's like, you know, well, what do you think happens after death? Well, I mean, I know what I believe now, but that doesn't mean that it won't evolve and change, you know, in the future. And so I try I try not to say I know too much, because I think as soon as you start saying that you know things, man, you're just only limiting the possibilities. Because I think everything's really true. I mean, I think that everything is a possibility, and as soon as you start thinking, well, that's not possible, well, guess what? In your world, that's not possible anymore.
Right.
Because you don't believe that's possible.
I totally see that, man. That's been a big part of my journey, is that once you realize how much you don't know, you really open yourself up to learn a lot. I mean, in leaps and bounds.
Yeah. And it's actually, you know, I heard this one quote. I can't remember where I heard it for. I put it in one of my videos, but you know, it's, you know, when you have a child, you know, you see this child, and it's just like this innocent little, you know, empty vessel. And, as a parent and as, a human on this planet right now, we feel like it's our job just to fill this empty vessel with everything we know. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to teach them everything we know. Well, dude, we don't know anything. And I don't think that's, I think they come as an empty vessel to remind us that we should be an empty vessel. And that when we approach life in that honest, like a child, that's when life becomes magical and you start to flourish.
Yeah. It's amazing how just one question from your kid is like this rabbit hole where you're like, well, it really depends on who you ask. This type of person will say this, and this type of person will say this. I really don't know. I kind of lean towards this, but that could change in the future. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
But that makes them smarter, I think. That they can, you just give them what other people are thinking, and and then ask them, well, what do you think? What's your feeling about it? I love to do that too. When, did you have any thoughts on how you thought this was, or and
yeah, it's got some repercussions. Like my kid, like my oldest girl, because I've been telling her that for a long time. Because I started kind of figuring out that life was a lot more flexible, and everything that we think we know, dude, in like 20, 30 years, it's not like in science, like everything we think we know in science, in 30 years, that's going to be an 8-track player.
Yeah.
That's not going to be the truth. So it's just constantly evolving. Our understanding of life is just constantly evolving. And so, I've been kind of like basically since my oldest child, all my children, because this kind of like this new consciousness started creeping into my awareness, I don't know, a decade ago. I didn't really own this until like 2012 though, but it was, creeping in, and I was starting to question everything. And now, she's like, so what do you think about this? And I'm like, I do basically just what you said, well, from this perspective, it's this way, and from this perspective, and, and I believe this now, but, that can change. And she's like, Dad, eventually I'm going to have to know something. and I was like, well, I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just being honest with you. I'm not sure how much I do know for sure, or at least know that, on a level that will not change.
Yeah.
So
that's so funny. I think it's just good to be open like that, though, and that's instilling something in them that is really going to follow them throughout their life. Because, like you said, man, when you really look at science and the past, they're guessing on so much stuff. You're like, dude, they were totally guessing to come up with this. And like the sun, the sun's a perfect example. They have ideas about how the sun works, for instance, but they have no idea. Nobody's been there. You get burned up if you try to go there.
They don't know. Nobody knows. Yeah. And it's just a much healthier, and I think with this energy on the planet that's speeding. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did I lose you? Okay. I think this energy that's on the planet, and it's just speeding up. And man, I think these people that have these very narrow views of our reality, I don't know, man. I see a lot of negative side effects coming from that for them in personal ways, as far as health, and I don't know. I just think that now more than ever is the time to let go of your beliefs and to start trusting yourself, and to just trust. And for me, it really goes back to this personal reconnection and this reconnecting with this higher self, and just letting go of these narrow concepts we have of our reality, and just going with the flow of life. Mm-hmm. And I think that when we resist this flow, and how I think that you're just going to feel really beaten up. You know what I mean? I think that life is going to be really. I think once you let you know what here's exactly what it's like. I just thought of this. Have you ever seen that show Contact?
I think I did.
with
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster, yeah. And so, they're building this contraption to do what they don't even know what it's going to do, but they're building this contraption, and they're like, well, we got to build this chair, and they're like, well, there's no chair in the diagram, and like, well, we got to build a chair because the chair's got to be in there, and then so they build the chair, and then so I would say that chair is our beliefs, you know what I mean, and so she starts going through that thing. And do you remember that chair is starts just going crazy and just vibrating and shaking, and it's throwing her around, and it's violent. You know what I mean? And then it breaks free, and then there's nothing. It's like she's just floating, and there's no resistance. And I think that's a really good metaphor for where we're at in life, and that chair is our beliefs.
Yeah.
And it's time for us to start letting go of these beliefs, man. Because if you hold on to these beliefs, I don't know, man. I think it's going to be, you know what I mean? Like I don't know.
I think a lot of times people are carrying around baggage that isn't even really theirs. It's like beliefs that they've been given from, people of authority in their life, and they just keep carrying it along and
Dude, I don't
weighing
think any
themselves
of it's
down.
theirs.
You know.
I think it's all everybody else's. I think we're just weighted down with and I think we talked about it before, man. Other people's baggage, dude, is so heavy.
No,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like if you have a belief that is heavy, dude, it's not yours. You stole it.
Right.
You're a belief thief. You stole that from somebody else because your belief shouldn't weigh you down. And I think that's a good way to determine, if your belief. Well, I don't know. I'll just leave it at that. I just think that
I think our creative potential is like always being used, even when we don't even realize it. So I see a lot of people that's like creating this horrible reality for themselves, and then thinking that they don't have any control over it, and it's just it's horrible to see somebody putting it to work, but in the opposite direction. You know what I mean? I'm sick. I feel horrible. Life is sucky, and on and on down the line.
I love that, dude.
You know what I mean?
I'll go as far as thinking. I can't remember where I got this from, but this is just. I think this is perfect. It's like people say that we're using, 10% of our brain, but I think we're using 100% of our brain to make it look like we're using 10% of our brain. yeah, you know what I mean? It's kind of like exactly what you just said. It's. I mean, because we're all creating our life. I don't care. I don't even care what people think anymore, dude. If you don't think you're creating your life, and if you can't accept responsibility on some level, I mean, obviously people are like, why in the world would this person choose this, this disability or this horrific, dude, on some level, whether that's consciously, unconsciously, or your higher self level, we've chosen everything. And I think, if you want to heal, just accept responsibility for everything. And then look at it from a different, like, why would I choose that? Like, how did I grow from that? What did I learn from that horrendous relationship? You know what I mean? Like, all that pain I went through from that one person, like, I drew that to myself, but why did I do that? Why did I want to go through that to learn?
Right.
Because like, this is a game down here. And it's just a game, because the second we transition, we're like, wow, that was amazing. I want to go back. You know what I mean? Like let's do it again. But it's if you can realize that it's a game, if you can become conscious of the fact that you're in charge of your life down here before you transition, dude, that's when the magic happens. That's, we need people becoming conscious of the fact that they're creating, because, man, once you become conscious that while you're alive instead of after you transition, man, your power It's that's just, we need more people on the planet that are becoming conscious of how this reality works, and the fact that, we chose to be here to go through these experiences.
Yeah.
We don't need that many people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, I'm thinking like one conscious person outweighs like 10,000 unconscious people. So we don't need that many people. And you're talking about this, event and this shift, and I would look at it in those terms. You're talking about this 100 monkey effect.
Mm-hmm.
When we'll
Critical
reach, well, dude,
mass.
yeah. So the political mass, like, I'm thinking like 1 in 10,000,
Mm-hmm.
and and there's been studies that have proven that. I mean, that it's, I mean, there's been studies where they had, Tibetan monks come in to certain cities, and they prayed. You don't pray for something. They were just thankful for peace,
Right.
and the crime rate just dropped.
Yeah, like
And so what they,
75% or something. Yeah, I heard about that
yeah,
study.
just off the charts. And so if you take the number of people in that city versus the number of people that were actually meditating, you know,
Yeah.
that there was peace in the city, dude, that was the numbers. They were like 1 in 10,000. I mean, it was really a very small. It took a very small amount of people to make huge shifts in our reality.
That's
So
amazing.
that's, we don't need that many people.
Yeah, I've been really amazed at the not only the way we're all connected. They had those random number generators where they could see events right before they happen. Like 9/11, it started responding at like
Exactly.
1 in the morning.
Exactly.
So it
You mean like
shows.
the heart math
Yeah,
experiment
exactly.
they did? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it really shows that we're connected, and there's an exponential growth as you get more and more people. So, like, one person might affect 10, but two people affect 1,000, and like three people affect 10,000, and
Yeah.
there's this growth,
And
like a bell curve, I
I
guess.
feel like I'm dropping the ball in that area too. I really like, I live in such a bubble world that I really feel like I should probably be more active with group thought. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I don't know. But when you said that, I think, yeah, it's one thing to talk about it, but you have to do it.
Yeah.
And I just really have not been doing that. And I think that, I'm not saying like, ooh, I'm powerful, but I'm saying like, I really feel like I should be involved in that more than I am.
Yeah, I
It's just,
totally agree.
yeah,
I feel the same way. Yeah. But I feel like on some level, you know, the way we live, maybe not in a group cooperative setting where you're doing group meditations or whatever, which we do those from time to time, but it's like just taking care of yourself is still feeding into the global consciousness. But yeah, there is more we can
absolutely.
do.
Well, I think, like you said, if two conscious people, um, align their intention, and then three people, it's definitely a domino effect. And I've been invited to be a part of some, and I don't know, I just kind of blew it off. Like I said, I live in my own little bubble world, and maybe it's time for me to kind of step out of my own little bubble world and be a little bit more proactive. Um,
Yeah, I agree.
you know, I
Totally,
guess
man.
we can always do a little bit more, no matter what we're doing.
Yeah.
But then again, we're all doing the best we can, and so I don't know.
We're like
I
all
don't
like
know.
cogs in a an oiled machine, sort of doing our part. Like just getting on here every day, and man, the love is just the love that pours out of the chat. I mean, every now and then we'll get a troll or something, but man, the people coming together and just chatting and loving, and I can feel that love energy. Have you really noticed anything lately with the energies, like an uptick or anything?
You know, it's funny you said that, because the energy's always just seems like crazy thick.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that I think I have.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's actually always getting thicker. I can always feel like I remember the first time I tuned to these frequencies, and I started Just bringing them in my consciousness, they would grow and grow and grow, and then they reached a point where I was like, well, how can they possibly grow anymore? I mean, it feels like I'm just like one big magnet in this, in the field. How can it grow? But I have started noticing some very intense dreams.
Oh, really?
Daily, yeah. Like,
Wow.
and I don't really have. I'm not like a huge intense dream guy. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And for me, it's definitely been noticeable. Um, yeah, so I would say on that level, I have noticed some shifts.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times, it's increasing all the time, but just like you don't notice your kids growing because it's so gradual, you don't notice the
Yeah,
energies growing until it starts speeding up in its growth, if you will. You're like, wow,
yeah,
it's really starting to increase, and that's kind of what I feel like is happening. I don't know if it's because of the global consciousness, if it's because cosmic energies, like they say. I'm sort of on the fence about all that stuff. I take it all into consideration, but at the end of the day, I realize I don't really know.
and I will say that I have had, but this has probably been going on for about, I don't know, 6 months, but just like unbelievable moments of being tired. Like just like literally, it just hit me like just a ton of bricks, and it's like, okay, man, I'm going to go take a nap. Like something's like my body is telling me I need to shut down right now, and I don't remember that a
Yeah, me
couple years
neither.
ago.
I've been dealing
I
with the
don't I
same
don't
thing,
remember that.
where it's just like a ton
Yeah.
of bricks all of a sudden. You're like, why am I tired all of a sudden?
Yeah, well, like this is weird. That why would I be so tired at like 10 o'clock in the morning?
Right.
That just seems
For me, it was early
so.
afternoon because a lot of times I'd have to, pick up my kids from school. So this was last year. It was, it'd be like 1 or 2, and I was like, I can't fall asleep now, and I might not wake up in time. You know what I mean? But I felt
Yeah,
so tired, man. And I drink some coffee and try to wake up, and it seemed like it didn't do much, and it was tough. You know. I think at the time I was even on
yeah.
ADHD medicine, which is stimulant medicine, but it affects people differently, I guess, when they have ADHD. But yeah, I quit all that stuff
And
now, but it's crazy.
my first thought was, okay, well, I'm 51, and it is kind of hot outside. You start trying to rationalize it away, and that's one thing that after going through, what I went through with this reconnection and stuff, that man, I rationalization, the rational mind, um, doesn't have nearly the amount of weight that it used to have in my life. I
Yeah.
mean, it's rational. Rational mind is really one of the biggest mental jail cells, confinements. I think to we always want to rationalize everything away, and guess what, man? That's not rationalization has its place, but
Hmm.
dude, when you start rationalizing all your decisions, um, that is not in the flow.
Oh, yeah,
That
it's
is
more
that
left
is
brain.
not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not trusting yourself. That is absolutely not in the flow.
And that's what I'm noticing, man, is that it seems like so many more people are, even 10 or 15 years ago, I would have felt crazy saying some of the stuff I say now. But people get it. And I'm always blown away at all the thumbs up and videos and stuff. I'm like, wow, I really thought I'd get a lot of thumbs down on that one. But people get it, man. They're
Yeah,
like waking up to the realization of this whole other part that we can't see going on, the whole spiritual
yeah.
side and the energies and the connectedness and the love and the unity, all of that good stuff.
I think we might have talked about it, but I used to, before I started my channel last year, I would, on Facebook. I'm not like a Facebook person. Like I don't know.
Yeah, me
I like
neither.
to see pictures of my friends' kids, and I like Facebook for what Facebook is really for, and that is like seeing my kids' friends,
Right.
friends' kids grow up, and things like that. I don't really need to see where they're eating. I don't need to see pictures of the food, but I
Right.
like to see I like to see stuff like that, or their kids, and And so, but this was going on. This was going on in my life, and the same thing happened to my wife because I remember when I went in for my reconnection. I remember I came home after the first day, and I said, "Hey, this is real, and you should do this." And so she went in.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the same type of awakening happened for her,
Wow.
and to tell my friends. And dude, like I'm not trying to sell this on people, but every
Oh, you
that
cut
I
out a little bit. You said
went through this
every.
process.
Are you still there? You cut out a little bit. You said every what in the process? Oh, did I lose you? Hello? Hello?
I can. Hello.
Oh, there we go. I got you back now. You said everyone. You were
Okay,
talking about your
cool.
wife reconnecting, and then you said you had friends that did it. I guess is where you were going.
Hold on.
Okay.
Personal reconnection. The first day.
Nope. You're still cutting out for me. Oh, let me see. My connection's okay here.
Wife.
Dial up in paradise, my man.
Like did you lose me?
Yeah, I did lose you for about 30 seconds there. Are you there now? Hello?
You there?
There, I got you. You're back. Are you?
I'm back.
Yeah, you're back now.
You sound like
Sound like I'm underwater.
auto
Auto
auto.
tune. Yeah, I guess you're going in and out, man. Let me see. Let me give it another second here. We are at the hour point, so I guess we'll wait and see if we get Case back. But I did want to let everybody know that you gotta love paradise. Yeah, Josee says you gotta love paradise. It is, there's the flip side to everything, right? But yeah, everybody, just so you know, I do have Case. His Everyday Masters Case is his website is below everydaymasters.life, as well as his YouTube channel, which I know a lot of you are already subscribed. But definitely check out his website and watch his videos about the process of how he does reconnection. If he's coming to your city when he comes into town, maybe you can book a session with him. I think it'll be interesting. He's leaving out coming this weekend, I believe, and he'll be in Ohio, New York, Houston, Texas. Not sure what city in Ohio. And let me see here. Make sure I got everything below. And yeah, you can actually, when you go to his website, I don't see his website down here. Hang on a sec. Let's see. I'll double. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's www.everydaymasters.life. And when you go there and watch the videos of the process, learn about the differences and what he offers. And
Hey, you there?
yeah, there you go.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I was wondering if a tsunami got you or something. I'm just joking.
Oh, no, just a crappy dial-up connection with the world.
Oh, no problem at all,
So,
man.
did you wrap it up, or are we still on?
I
Or
was just giving your information. No, you're still here. I was letting them know. What metropolitan area are you going to be in New York and Ohio?
I think I lost you again.
Up, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay.
Where are you going to be in Ohio and New York? What metro area?
Brooklyn, New York,
Oh, okay, in the heart of New
and
York City then.
yeah, in the heart, and and then Hamilton, Ohio, which is like east tip, Ohio, and then you
And then Houston, Texas.
port.
Okay. Well, I guess the internet's still pretty
So
spotty there, so I guess we can wrap it up. It's been an hour, and let me see here.
okay. Well, I can't believe we got 55 minutes out of it. That was pretty good because
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
for this internet.
Yeah, that's what Josee was wanting to come on. I'm like,
Have
I
me
don't
on,
know. I don't know about
and
the. Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem, buddy. I'd like to have you
what?
on. And when you come into the States, man, when you get on some decent internet, we can maybe do some video or something. That'd be fun.
Okay, that sounds good, man. That sounds good.
All
Well,
right,
I
buddy.
will. I'll be in touch, and thank you. Have a fantastic day, and talk to you later.
All right, buddy. You have a safe trip. And that was Case
Peace.
Park. Yeah, peace, buddy. Case Parks from Everyday Masters. His information is down below. You can check it out. And
You
let's
ready?
see here. Let me cancel out this other one here. There we go. Awesome. So I want to thank you all for joining in the chat today. Let's see what we got lined up. We got Joseph Reyna lined up for Thursday. That's going to be a late show, so those of you that like the later shows, particularly our Australian viewers, it won't be so early in the morning. So I guess it would be Friday morning for those in Australia, but it's going to be 7 p.m. I'll have to double check. I don't remember if that's Central or Eastern time. I believe it's 7 Central, so that would be 8 Eastern p.m. on Thursday night. And then let's see here. Well, I don't have it. Natasha Haynes, I believe we're going to have on tomorrow from well, at the same time as today. From I guess that would be from 2 to 3 Eastern, 1 to 2 Central time, and that's where we're at right now as far as updates. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for all the moderators and everybody sending the love throughout the chat. You guys are awesome. I do appreciate you, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good one.